Speaking about being around for a long time, our guy Greg Stringfellow been around. I believe long. I'm not even gonna try here on the.
I'm gonna say 22 years.
String, good morning. How are you?
What's up, guys? How are you guys doing?
How many years?
I've lost count too, but it's 25 almost.
Oof.
I think it may be more than that, counting the years that I was in school.
So
Man.
close. So close.
Assistant AD from the equipment department. All right, so you've been there a long time. You've seen the national championship flurry since 03, 07, the game in 11, then 19. Real quick for me before we get into what's happening over the next couple of days in this season. Recap 19 for me.
It was a great season. It's one of the greatest I've ever been a part of. The team really was together, had a lot of fun playing together. It was kind of surreal at a lot of times just because things were happening that you'd never seen happen before. Even being through a couple of the other national championship seasons, this one just felt different all the way through just because it was so dominating.
Speaking of seeing things you've never seen before, that unprecedented good season rolled into an unprecedented off season as you had the pandemic breakout, everything gets shut down. On the equipment front, I know you have a lot of moving pieces going on throughout the year. How have you all been affected by everything that's gone on over the past few months?
You know, there's a lot of, like you're saying, it's weird. It's way different having the in-spring ball right when we were getting started on it was different. And you know, sending everybody home. But we worked throughout the pandemic here in the equipment room, doing all the receiving, making sure the packages are still coming in, making sure the buildings were still operational for the most part. So we were here throughout the whole process. Not the full staff, but as much as we could work, we were working through it to make sure things stayed on schedule and stayed coming in. But it really has been different. And you know, coming back in June when the players could actually get back in here and having our guys, some of our student staff here and all the other departments kind of coming back in was great to see and great to have happen. And we were trying to, and we've been doing a great job, I think, of meeting all the protocols, making things happen in this building. You know, we feel that this facility is one of a kind. We have a lot of things going on in this building that provide for the athletes and make it more safe than just a random gym or a random facility. By the way that it was designed originally. And those things all led to us being able to come in here and kind of get going in the facility altogether, where we didn't have to make accommodations outside the building for certain things. And it's really helped us. And, you know, we can see internally how healthy our team is and moving forward, how things are going. You know, you hear a lot about putting all these guys together is going to be terrible and cause a spike. And really, I think that we've seen by the way that we've reacted and the cleanliness of the facility and the way we're asking the guys to operate with masks and making sure they distance. You know, we want them to use the facility, but we also want them to be safe. I think you've seen all that come to a point now where we should be the protocol for how things are operated around the country the way that I see it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Greg Stringfellow joining us here, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, Associate Athletics Director from the Athletics and Equipment Department over at LSU Football, joining us here on ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. You mentioned the facility, and you guys unveiled that a year ago, and it's beautiful, it's bright and shiny, but can you speak to the efficiency on just the day-to-day operations that you've gotten out of it over the last 365 days?
I think we saw an immediate effect last August when we moved in the building about how efficient it was. And Jack and I have talked about it several times since then, even as recently as a couple of weeks ago, about the efficiency that we created in the athletes' lives and the coaches' lives to be able to live in this building, really. You know, they didn't have to drive across campus to eat. They didn't have to drive across campus to get in their dorms and take naps in between practices and meetings. You know, we probably increased the amount of sleep that the guys got in August alone when you would be a lot of moving parts. And T-Bob's experienced that, where you have to go from the facility, dorm, to go eat, back here for treatment, to workouts, back to home to rest. You know, all those things were a lot of moving parts where they would have to leave the building. And last August, we really saw where the guys would get here at 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever for meetings, and wouldn't leave till 10 o'clock at night. They didn't have to leave to go home and sleep. So you were probably cutting about an hour to an hour and a half of travel time and wasted time out of their lives, where now the guys could eat dinner at night, right after practice, go eat dinner, take a nap for 45 minutes after dinner, then get ready for the evening meetings. In the mornings, the guys would come in here. They would come in, grab a breakfast in the dining. They would go to meetings, go to practice. After practice, they would do their treatment. Some guys would take a nap. Some guys would go work out. Then they'd have lunch. After lunch, they'd go, lay in their lockers and rest again. They'd go in the training room and get treatment. They would then get ready for meetings, then practice. So it really became, where not leaving the building saved you a tremendous amount of time and effort. And Jack and I have talked about it. When we went into New Orleans to the national championship game, we were as healthy as we were all season long. And we really think that the building and the way the guys acted, and then the practice schedule, and just the whole medical staff, training staff, the weight staff, the coaching staff, everybody worked together to make the guys' lives as efficient as possible and as healthy as possible. And that continues to this day.
Imitation is the best compliment. It's got to be great to look around and see everybody imitating the facility. You don't have to look too far in the SEC West.
What do you think about Bama's new strip club? Locker room.
No comment. We did have discussions. We share information, and once we exposed our building last August to the world, and they saw it, I did receive a lot of questions and comments, from all over the country, including Alabama. Jeff Springer, is an LSU alum. He's the head equipment guy and assistant AD over at Alabama, and we talked a lot about kind of how we did our lockers and things like that. They were already under construction at the time, or in the planning stage, so they were pretty far along when we kind of let ours out there. So it's just one of those things where there's been a lot of calls and a lot of people around the country from different sporting, pro sports, all that, looking at how we modeled our locker room and the efficiency of it and how to get rest in there, from NBA to Major League Baseball to all those items where guys really live in their locker room a lot of the time. It's been something, and you'll probably see more of that going forward.
Who hurt Jeff Springer so much that he could end up there? How about, okay, I will say this before I ask a question. If I was going to judge the two against each other, I think y'all's best change that y'all made is how open it feels. Every other locker room everywhere is closed off. It's sectioned off kind of section by section. It's truly an open feel in there, and that's what separates them even more in the pods. All right. As far as practice starting up tomorrow, though, football school, I believe it's walkthrough, so I don't know how much on the equipment front, but what about this idea of face mask inserts or face masks on the helmets? Have y'all explored this at LSU, or has the conference explored it? What's the talk around face masks?
Absolutely. We've been looking at it for a while. Ever since this started, one of the first things we talked about is how, if the mask was going to be a thing, how do we do it and make it breathable? We've had experience with putting a face shield on the bottom part of the helmet face mask. A couple of years back, Foster Morrow had a jaw issue, and we had to cut a eye shield and put it on the lower part of the face mask. When we did that, we had to do. There's a lot of experimentation for him to be able to wear it, and you've seen some of his comments recently about how hard it was for him to breathe with it on, and we had to constantly drill little holes in it just to make it where he could breathe. So that was our experience several years back. So when this started coming up again, my thing was, we've tried this. How are we going to be able to accomplish this and still let the guys breathe? Because not being able to breathe at all in our environment is a terrible.
Right.
Let's just say that. T-Bob, running during the summertime in the heat outside with nothing on,
dude, it's terrible.
It was hard to breathe, right?
Terrible.
So just imagine covering your face and trying to do the same thing with a shield. There's a lot of different things on it. I'm not sure how they're going to require it, or if they're going to wait and see how it goes. There's still, it's not like that is up against your face. So there's still ways for whatever fluids to kind of move around. If you're wearing it over your mouth and you sneeze or you cough, it's going to keep what's going straight forward out. But you still have an opening at the bottom. So there's a lot of weird kind of things going on about how the best way to accomplish that is. as far as the players coming back, we're going full forward here. We're acting like we're playing on schedule. We're doing everything on schedule. We haven't missed a beat here. We've already started fitting helmets and shoulder pads just to get the guys ready. Make sure that on the day that they tell us we can do it, we're going to be 100% ready to go. We're not worried about all the other things surrounding it. We're worried about what goes on in this building, and we're moving forward to play football here.
Oh, yeah. G-String, Greg Stringfellow joining us here, right here on ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Marcel Brooks left in the offseason, which means there's no number 9 on the roster. Nobody's going to get that, right?
Unofficially, I don't have any plans to have it used again
Ever.
in the near future or ever. That's something we talked about, and we researched how things went when Billy Cannon won the Heisman and all, and that it immediately, that number 20 was gone.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And it was gone unofficially because you can't really retire it right this second. You can't have the ceremony. You can't do all those things. There has to be a vetting process to it. But in my book, there's a number 9 sitting on my chair right here next to me, and that's probably one of the last ones that we'll see in an LSU uniform. If that's my feeling on it.
Yep.
I think that's the head coach's feeling on it.
Wow.
That's the people in the building. I think that's just kind of the right thing to do right this second. And that's where we're going from here. I can't say officially that it'll never happen until the day that paper's signed and it's officially retired. But right this second, in my opinion, it's just sitting here with me.
Let me
Love
speak
it.
for the entire fan base. We can co-sign on that.
Yeah. You're talking about maybe the best football number in Louisiana history.
Ever.
Between Burrow and Breeze.
I'm telling you.
It's like,
Did
it's unreal.
did Robin and the family ever get the Burrow jersey to Ohio?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So
that's theirs. That was their process. That was their jersey. They have, they have a bunch of stuff.
Did you package in a G-string with it?
Well, no, I did not. But Miss Robin and I and Mr. Jimmy, we've all laughed about it several times since that day of your embarrassment.
Thank you.
We've had a lot of fun at your expense.
Thank you.
I think that's our most viewed YouTube video.
It is, by far. Last one, and we'll get you out of here. There has always been as Coach O calls it, a standard performance for you guys as keeping that facility ultra clean. Does anything change with what has happened over the last few months to your protocol, to your day-to-day ops?
Well, I mean, one of the biggest things is we're using a little bit different disinfectant system to kind of disinfect the whole building. We're using some products that are military grade to really kind of, I don't want to say hose down because that's not what we're doing, but fog, mist. We're doing a lot of cleaning, and really it had the custodial staff and the facility staff have taken the lead and really have done a great job on it. I know Coach Moffitt uses the product in his weight room constantly in between groups. They've installed a whole system of air compressors and stuff in his area where they can mist every piece of equipment in there between each workout group, and the workout groups are really small. So that's the first step. The locker room, we fog it several times a day. We make sure that the guys are keeping the place clean. We make sure that they shower. One of the biggest things that I said, looking around the country, people are like, oh, we don't want them in the building. We don't want them in the locker room. My thing was our locker room is as clean and sanitary as any place that they'll be.
Yeah.
I want them to shower in their locker room. We're using the products that are protocol for them to use to shower. Washing your hands is a big thing. Hey, guys, y'all go in there after you finish working out. Get clean. Give me your laundry. Give my staff your laundry. We will have it clean for the next time you use it. That way you don't have to wear it home and try to figure out how to launder it yourself. That's what we do, and we want to make sure that you're protected. And we think in our facility, the most protected place is being in our facility. And if you look from the beginning of this, when the players reported to now and how the numbers have gone, you saw those ESPN reports of however many guys had it or were quarantined. If you look at it from then to now, we're doing a great job in this building.
I agree.
And like I said, I think that when all of that arises, that you'll see that we're setting the standard for how this can be done and be done safely.
Yeah, Shelley and everybody else, everybody else who had a hand in putting together the protocols really knocked it out of the park. We said it yesterday.
Yeah, Shelley and Jack and the medical staff have done a spectacular job of keeping us moving in the right direction. They want football to happen as much as you guys and the people listening.
Yeah, I think it's valid and objectively true that the kids are actually safer there at the facilities and in that bubble than they would be just left at home to their own devices.
Thank you, G.
Absolutely. Great talking to you guys, and T-Bob, try to stay out of trouble.
Hey, always do, man. You know me, G-String. No trouble here, just minivans.
Greg Stringfellow checking in from LSU football this morning. As you hear, it is a monster to keep the reigning national champs up and moving.
How about
he is
that?
a key cog in the decision making and the day-to-day operations of making that happen.
You got to have quality people
Yeah,
at every
that's right.
at every turn, and whether, like you said, it's Shelly and Jack holding down on the medical side, stringing the equipment. It's you got good people right now at LSU.
Chad Durbin, 12 minutes from now and off the bench.